Now, the text you're referring to comes from Mark chapter 7. It's also found in Matthew, I believe it's chapter 12. So let's take a look and examine your claim and see if it's really biblical. You see, the Pharisees of Jesus' day had this tradition where they would wash their pots, pans, even their clothes, even their hands, if they even so much as thought they were breathed on by a Gentile. You see, the bigotry that they had at that time was so extreme and so intense that they hated contact with anybody who wasn't a Jew. So if they got brushed up against in the marketplace, if their food got touched, if their hands got touched, if their dishes got touched by anybody who wasn't a Jew, they would wash in a certain way to sort of cleanse themselves from defilement. That's what the Pharisees were chiding Jesus about, and that's what Jesus was responding to them about. He wasn't saying that certain unclean meats were now clean to eat. In fact, Jesus goes on to say, "Full well you reject the commandments of God that you may keep your own tradition." And today, Christians who know better and claim that they're under grace and not under the law are doing the same thing that Jesus accused the Pharisees of doing, of rejecting the commandments of God so that they can keep their own tradition. See, when Jesus said verse 15, he wasn't talking about a pork chop. He was talking about that supposed ceremonial defilement. But let's apply it to food. It is your decision to defy the Scripture's commands on diet and eat that unclean meat anyway. That is what defiles you. You see, Eve sinned before she ever touched the fruit. Touching the fruit was a symptom of her decision to accept the words of the serpent instead of the words of God. A person's decision to eat unclean meat when they know better, that sin starts in the mind. The eating a pork chop on a plate, eating a shrimp in your pasta, that's a symptom of the sin that started in your mind. That is what defiles you. And that is what Jesus is trying to say to us in this text. He's not at all saying that unclean meat is okay to eat now. Read the whole of Romans 6, since you claim to be under grace and not under the law, and study what grace actually is. Grace teaches us to obey the 10 Commandments, not disregard them. God forbids eating unclean meat for a reason. It damages our health, it shortens our life, and that is a violation of the commandment that says, "Thou shalt not murder."